spoke in the car about the hole at the center of this donut. And what you and Harlan did that fateful night seems at first glance to fill that hole perfectly. A donut hole in a donut's hole. But we must look a little closer. And when we do, we see the donut hole has a hole in its center. It is not a donut hole, but a smaller donut with its own hole. And our donut is not a hole at all.
Unc.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheap Seat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheap Seat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good.
Oh my gosh, he's back. That's Sam.
I am back from my world travels and badly sunburnt. It's very burnt, but I am back.
All the best burnt. He only has the
best.
Yes.
I only have the best burns.
Yeah, if he's gonna get sunburned, he's been told he gets the best sunburns.
Yeah, that's true. That's how it works.
I don't know why we just did that. Thank you for coming back. If you were listening the last few weeks with our live.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me there for a second.
Well, yeah, also.
But you're welcome. Just so you know.
Yeah. Glad you came back, Sam. Really, yeah. It's always great having Steven on those 2 weeks.
Thank you guys for covering for me.
And it was we had a good time with both Velocipaster and Twister.
Twister.
And tonight we're going to do something a little different. And by a little different, I mean we're going to review a really, really good movie.
Movie.
Not that anybody's hated Twister or think it's terrible, but this is
this is a well-crafted movie.
It's just a different league. It's a different category of movie. So,
yeah.
With that all having been said, I will then say this. This is episode 305, and we are tonight. That's bad English. And tonight we are talking about Knives Out.
And donuts, apparently.
Knives Out. Yeah. I just want to hear Daniel Craig in that accent forever.
Where does that come from? What is is it Southern Louisiana or, it's definitely deep South. It's not North Carolina South. It's deeper than that for sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of great trivia about what gave him the inspiration for that accent in particular. And so, I might have captured it, might not. It doesn't matter. Anyway, his accent's great. And I'm not going to lie. Yes. I want to see him as James Bond in that accent.
Maybe he could be the American version. The CIA agent, right?
Stud. I just think that'd be great. But it wouldn't be that, right? He'd want like what would hillbilly James Bond's drink be?
Oh God, well, moonshine, of course, right?
Yes, right. Andrew, you can talk. I know I haven't technically introed you yet, but what do you think?
I think it would be some corn liquor.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely some corn liquor.
Some corn liquor.
I'm not gonna lie. Your Southern accent, Andrew, is like.
I love it.
It's like what James Earl Jones would do as Foghorn Leghorn. It's deeper than just the chicken, right? It's a slower, more like molasses poured over Foghorn.
That's right. It's like molasses. You just got to let it roll out your mouth. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Chew on your words a little bit. Just chew on them now.
I wish I could do that. That's kind of like the cool, kind of sexy South. I can do redneck pretty good. That's about it. I can kind of do redneck, but
you can do trailer park, but not Southern aristocrats.
Yeah.
It's kind of a Savannah type thing, or maybe a Florida Panhandle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Savannah. Yeah, you're kind of sounding like you would be a good extra in The Legend of Bagger Vance right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can hear you up there as that mayor. It's like, but this is Savannah, and we must have someone from Savannah. And
Or
then they get
or the
mad
guy from Wild West.
From Kenneth Branagh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never understood that. It
then
was supposed to be the Wild West, and he sounded like he was from.
Well, he was a Confederate general guy from Louisiana or Mississippi. I mean, if that's the part that you
pigeonholed
that, not the fact that his lower intestines and everything from his belly button down is gone, and he's in a motorized wheelchair that's steam powered. If that's the only issue,
that was the only issue I had with the movie.
Okay, not the fact that it's just terrible.
No.
We are going to intro this thing. My gosh, just take a couple weeks off with Sam, and we just derail the whole show. I am Sean Allred. In case you if this is your very first episode, I am Sean Allred. Joining me tonight is Andrew, My Rules, My Coffee, My House, Jimison.
I want that mug.
You can buy it.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm going to have to, but I want the house to go with it, though.
Oh, my God. I love that house. I love the what do you call it? Eccentricity?
Sure.
Whatever it is, the crazy stuff in that house.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah, it's very cool. And Sam, was the spider on the face necessary vector?
No, not really.
But it made my wife scream.
It was a good way of death to spider face.
Yeah.
The spider face. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and Sean.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. If I was going to kill you in some way, it wouldn't be accidental drug ingestion or making you slit your own throat. I would put you in that knife thing and make a hula
hoop. Okay.
Right?
Parts of it would hurt and parts of it would just tickle, right? Because some of them were props.
Some of them are props.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just wanted to let you.
That's cool. That prop was really cool. It just looked like one of those things though that
so unnecessary.
Well, it just feels like whenever you have to go visit Grandpa Harlan, you can't you couldn't let my son in that room.
Yeah, that's very not that whole house is not childproof.
No, none
right?
Of that.
I mean, I would be petrified to bring kids to that house.
Maybe that's why all those people are jacked up. I mean, yeah. So yeah,
Sam's playing in the knife room again.
Oh my gosh. So we watched this movie. My wife and I watched this movie a couple nights ago, and I was so excited when it as soon as I saw that it was on Amazon, I think I texted you guys immediately and said we have to do this movie for the show. I think you both went ahead and just watched it like that night.
Yeah. Pretty much the day or two after it became on Prime, I was like, oh, okay, I'm watching this sucker.
So Andrew, I know you've seen it twice now, right? You're nodding, so this is
that it?
I'm sorry. I thought I put my. This is going to be a fun night. I can already tell. Yeah, I watched it twice.
Okay, cool. Sam, have you watched it twice or just the once?
Just the once. Just once.
And I too have only seen it once, but this feels like a movie I need to see it twice.
Yeah, well, I will say I haven't seen it twice, but Lord knows I went on YouTube and was watching all the behind the scenes and kind of, all the different hidden things throughout the movie and why certain shots were the way they were, and it's just fascinating to me all the thought that went into this movie. From being in a single house, pretty much this entire thing, it was jam packed with stuff to see. Just jam packed, and I just love that. I hear they're doing a sequel, and I really hope they do.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope they do it the same way. I don't new mystery, obviously, but just pack in as much stuff as they can.
Yeah, the only character that's going to be a carryover is the Daniel Craig character.
Well, that's the only one I'd want to carry over.
Yeah, because you don't need another mystery of the same people. Let's get another group of like weirdos and let him solve the murder.
Yeah.
Which I think would be great.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean this movie was just so fun and interesting. It's been a while since I've been entertained like this in a movie.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like it has. I mean, especially for the podcast. I mean,
right.
you
And
know,
I got into the movie, and this is one of those movies where I expected to not. I don't know. I for some reason I expected the killer to be at the end, where it's all at the end, and all of a sudden you realize within 15 minutes, how he kind of died. And then it was like, where are they going to go from here? What's the, what is the point that we're keep going and going? And then when it hits the spoiler region, you're like, holy crap, this is amazing. This is awesome.
Yeah. No, because that was so. I took very few notes. We'll do our 5-word intros here in just a second. But I took very few notes on this movie because there wasn't much for me to write down because I was so soaked into the movie that I was afraid that if I paused to catch my breath to even write something, like I still feel like I was still gonna feel like I was gonna miss something, even though that I know the movie's paused, right?
Yeah.
So I took very few notes, but one of the few notes I wrote was my spelling was terrible too. It was really funny. At the 55-minute mark, we are shown proof it's a suicide. But I still know that this is a whodunit movie. So dot.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Because the funny thing is what's in the back of my mind the whole time I'm watching this is like everyone compares this to a modern day Clue. And so when we get pretty early on his death and we feel pretty confident that the way he dies is in fact the way he dies, we're with you, Sam. It's like,
right?
Why is the movie still going? So then as the plot starts to get, and it gets real thick when, I mean, we're in spoiler territory, guys. This is what we do in the podcast.
Yeah. If please, number one, pause this, go watch this dang movie, and then come back.
Seen it. Yeah.
I think all three of us are telling you, see this movie.
Yeah, there's probably in the course of the 300 plus movies we've done for the show, there's probably only been about 15 or 20 times where we've said you should watch it before you listen to the show.
Yep.
Because I do know some people don't watch the movie, they just listen to the show for the fun of it, which is great. Yeah. But this movie to watch. You really need to watch it because one, nothing we'll say will make sense, and two, if spoilers matter to you, then we're gonna make this movie not as fun to experience because when the will is read, right, and that thing happens, you're like, well, wait a minute, he had planned that for a week before his death. I mean, that was the plan, was to do the giving it to her. So that's what makes, in my opinion, which makes her character so interesting, and because she's got so much guilt going on because she thinks the whole time she is the murderer.
She killed him. Yeah, that she killed him.
And it's just so good. It's just so well written, and
I love the fact that she throws up when she lies.
That's such a funny little character flaw. I've never heard of that.
Who even thinks of that, right? And when the hospital calls and she's having to hold it in and they just can't hold it in any longer.
It just lets it fly all over Captain
At that
America.
Point, you're starting to wonder, okay, has she gotten over her thing, or did the maid really live? You know?
Yeah. No, it was a great ploy on her part. So, all right, Andrew, let's do your 5-word review before we keep going.
Okay, mine is pretty straightforward. It's the best movie of 2019.
Yes.
And I would venture to say one of the best movies of the past 5 years. I mean, that's
the writing. Yeah. I'm kind of with you there. I in terms of memorable movies, this is up there. This is something that's going to be around for a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm on IMDb. I'm looking at movies from 2019.
While you're looking, I'm just going to go ahead and talk a little bit.
Yeah, please do.
I'm just like you. I couldn't look away. I wanted to pause it and go to the bathroom or whatever, and I didn't. I just didn't stop. I just sat through it and not forced myself, but put away everything else. My kids could have been dying in a ditch, and I wouldn't have known. I would have been so enthralled with this film because it was absolutely one of the best things I've seen in a very long time, and different. And that's the thing that I think that got me the most is, yes, we've seen it before, but we haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
And certainly not in the style. And like you said, people compare it to Clue, but it far surpasses even that as far as being one of the best whodunit murder mysteries of all times.
Yeah, well, and I gotta let me pile on to that as well in terms of this is a character-driven movie, and every single one of these characters are just amazing in themselves in terms of how they were fleshed out and how weird some of them are, but they aren't totally off the wall to be cartoonish, right? And I just love the fact that this family felt real, and that they felt like the acting was so good that these people felt lived in, right? That they just felt like
people that you would know.
Yeah. And I especially in a movie where it's mostly interviews and kind of different interactions between them. Man, the acting in this movie is just superb. It's really well done.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the movies from 2019 to kind of whether I want to dispute or agree on your claim of the best movie of 2019. Let us not forget Oscar-winning. Wait, did it win Oscar? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was that year?
Yeah.
Last year, Dr. Sleep, Ford versus Ferrari, Frozen 2. Parasite. Parasite's the movie that won.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen any of those except Frozen 2.
Well, Joker, Endgame, 1917. Yeah. So.
Oh wow. No, this is up there with 1917 in my mind.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen Once a Time in Hollywood or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. I want to, or Parasite. And I know that we do a movie review podcast. We haven't seen all these great movies, but
they're not on Netflix. It's a little hard when they're not on Netflix or Prime.
But at the same time, I just can't believe that there are movies that are better than this one, in my opinion.
Well, and is it just me, or did this movie kind of sneak up? Right? It wasn't really, it wasn't out there in the press, and it wasn't really out there in the public mindset of being a pretty good movie. To me, it was almost like a sleeper. And I don't know.
I feel like it was kind of overshadowed as well.
Yeah.
With things like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and we still had, like you said, and like you said, Sean, we still had Endgame that we were coming off of as well.
Well, and I think one of the other big differences is that Knives Out was not a summer blockbuster release. It was a November release. It was the idea was that this is a movie to watch with your family on the holidays to show how crazy other families are, right? and so I think that's part of it, right? Is because you kind of always expect that the good movies are only in the summer, because usually your Oscar winners are not summer releases.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember watching the trailer, not the trailer, but seeing commercials for this a lot in November. And I remember people, some of the podcasts I listened to, they went and saw it in the theater and said, guys, you've got to go see this movie. So I think I was pretty aware of what it was, which is why I was excited when it hit Amazon, which felt like pretty early. Then again, who knows when this movie hits streaming pre-COVID, right? Like maybe these better type movies are not hitting streaming as soon because of what's going on, but because it did, we get the benefit of it. So I'm honestly, Andrew. I'm not really going to argue your point. I mean, I still love Endgame. I think Endgame still, you know,
For what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, again, yeah. And these are not comparisons. And like, I was thinking about this earlier today in preparation for the show, and to compare this to Clue. My argument was to say that comparing this to Clue is like comparing Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter. You know, like,
Yeah.
Well,
there's magic in both, and that there's,
yeah.
you know, but they're not comparable because they're not the same thing. They are only in the shell of one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like Clue is a farce and a comedy.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a comedy than it is a whodunit.
And
Yeah.
this one has plenty of comedy, but it's not set itself up to be a campy type comedy. It's
Campy, that's the word, because
Yeah.
it's a smart comedy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, there's no pratfalls, there's none of that. It's a smart comedy.
Yeah.
Because like the stuff that's funny, you have to pay attention. Like, so the main girl in the movie, Ana de Armas, who is she's going to be a star soon. She's going to be doing everything, right? Like, I'm
Yep.
just waiting for her to be in the next Marvel movie, basically, because she just did Blade Runner and this movie, and she's going to be in kind of everything soon. But like, no one in the family knows her background. Everyone one person calls her Brazilian, and someone calls her Ecuador, and then some, like,
Yeah.
like that's, and it's a joke because like no one can get
No
it
one pays
right.
her attention. Yeah.
And like, so that's funny. Like that's the humor. The other thing that made me laugh, which I thought, again, it's not a pratfall. It's not Tim Curry sliding on his shoes saying dumb things. It's when Don Johnson is trying to extol the fact of, that she is a good person because her family came here, quote unquote, the right. Like, he's trying to build her up,
The
and in
right
the
way.
meantime, he just absentmindedly hands her a plate like she's a maid.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like literally by doing that, he's demeaning her. And it's
Yep.
that to me is really funny, but you have to be paying attention to what is going on. So, anyway, Sam.
I'm right. Well, I'm with Andrew. I only have one on this one, and it's basically my review in a nutshell. What a freaking fun ride! I enjoyed this, and I enjoyed this especially since my wife was with me watching this, and also really enjoyed this movie. This was a great experience. This was fun. It was a great whodunit, and she would say, and I might admit a little bit, there's a little bit of a slow spell in the middle of the movie. But other than that, this movie is perfect. Great acting, great writing, great story, great twists. The visuals, I just keep going back to that. This movie is in a single house, and yet every camera angle has something new and cool to see. And I love it. I love this movie.
Yeah. And I mean, packed with big names. You know, Christopher Plummer to start off with, and Daniel Craig, and then you've got Chris Evans,
who doesn't come in for a while in this movie.
Yeah,
right.
He's barely in it. He's only in it like 12 or 15 minutes. Though he's second billed because he's Chris Evans. I mean, he's 5 minutes off of the highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah.
But you have Jamie Lee Curtis, who is either Oscar nominated or Oscar winner. I can't remember.
Yeah.
She's won.
Frank Oz.
She's got Golden Globes, but she's not the one. You got Frank Oz. Yeah, Frank Oz. Holy cow, Frank Oz. Yeah. Gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just loaded with talent, and it's funny. There's it always feels like there's a movie every now and then that has a perfect storm of actors in it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is certainly this one, because it could have gone the other way, right? It could have gone with wrong casting. It could have been really bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few characters that I feel like could have been played by other people and it wouldn't have thrown the movie.
Yeah.
The Meg, and Joni, Thrombey, that the mother and daughter.
Yeah.
I think that those two could have been replaced easily and not been that noticeable, or not have messed the movie up too bad.
Yeah, but I mean, but Toni Collette, I mean, she's got name recognition too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, and she's nominated for an Oscar. I mean, she's good.
Yeah, and both of the police officers, you know, they weren't big name people, and then but having said that, I think they did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, basically, they were there for Daniel Craig to throw his ideas off of verbally.
Right. And then you've already mentioned Marta.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I'd never seen her in anything before. But I thought, man, you're right. She's going to be a breakout star.
Yep.
Yeah, again, and the only reason why I really knew anything about her, not just because I Googled her, but I IMDb'd her because of the podcast, but also because, again, one of the other shows I listen to, but she's going to be in the new Bond movie, in No Time to Die.
Is she really? Okay.
Yeah. As
is she a Bond girl?
Paloma. I don't think she's a Bond girl. That'd be too creepy.
Well, I won't. They're no longer Bond girls, really, but you know what I mean.
Well, but I mean, he's even in this new series with Daniel Craig, he still had girls that he's just slept with for no reason other than just because he can.
Yeah.
But she's top billed.
Oh wow.
Well, let me rephrase. Credited cast sorted by IMDb star meter. Okay, so she's on top because she's the highest star right now, probably because of this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that movie is going to be passing the torch to a new Bond, and we think it's going to be her.
What?
Or something like that. It's going to be a new person. They want to keep the universe going, like this universe that they built. They don't have to start over, from what I've read and heard. But they want to have a new 00.
And I've heard that they wanted a woman to fill that position.
Yeah, they've wanted a woman for a while. Well, basically, for a long time, the rumor was Idris Elba.
Yeah, which I liked. I liked it.
I think that'd be great too. But the thing is, Idris Elba is like almost the same age as Daniel Craig. Like they want to get younger so that they can have this role for a while. So anyway, she's gonna be great. And she's in something new called Blonde. She'll be Norma Jean. Oh, I wonder if that's I don't know what that is. A fictional chronicle of the inner life of Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, Norma Jean. So anyway. Cool. Anyway, good for her. My 5-word review is, I guess we're all kind of the same. I just wrote my favorite whodunit movie. I had to make whodunit as one word. Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Well, there's not a lot of movies specifically in this genre. We talked about this pre-show where you have a movie where it's victim, your pool of suspects are all kind of in the same vicinity, and there's someone there to figure that out, right? Like there's basically you're thinking like Agatha Christie novels and things
and
like
that's exactly what I was going to say. Like we talked a little bit beforehand, how it's an Agatha Christie novel put on screen, in the best of ways. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I wrote again very few notes. Like I wrote at the end, I wasn't expecting to puke at the end, and then I did write dogs ex machina.
Well, they start the movie with the dogs, so they tell you right away, pay attention when you see the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just thought it was great that like she needed the footprints to be messed up in the mud. And so she acts like she can't hear, so she walks all over it. And then the dogs were just perfect. They come running through the mud, and they're like, well, I guess we're not going to get any footprints off this, Like it was really great. And so her character. So first of all, let's just be honest. There's only like 3 likable characters in the whole movie. All right, her, Marta, Daniel Craig, and honestly, in my opinion, the black cop. I don't. Like
yeah.
They're like the only like, cause even that other cop, he kind of sucked. It's just, I Not the actor, like the character.
No, the character.
Yeah.
The character.
Yeah.
And we're talking about characters, yeah.
Yeah. The character, he kind of is lame, and he was like a pushover. Like when, what's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis is yelling, get the F out of our house or whatever she says. Get out of my house, you cops, get out. And the guy starts to leave, and the lieutenant like puts his arm like, no, she can't make us leave. Like this is still the crime scene. Like he was cool. He was like the most chill, just cool cop, and the other guy, he sucked. So anyway, like I said, Trooper Wagner was that other guy's name. Everyone else, they're all kind of terrible people, right? Yeah. I mean, right. And that's what makes her Martha's character so great, is because she's clever. Like she's clever and compassionate. Like she's, I don't know, she's kind of perfect.
She's a good person. She's a good person.
Yeah, she's a good person, and that's what the plot hinges on, right? Right. Well, the bad guy, I don't know if we can spoil it or not, but you know what I'm saying? The bad guy is playing on her acting like him. And she doesn't. So,
yeah.
I think that's great. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what else much to say other than that. So we're going to play a couple clips, and then we'll do some trivia, and I'm sure that'll all spark some more fun conversation. So I just like to hear Daniel Craig say stuff, so most of what I got, most of what I got is him talking, so that's fine. Here's some Daniel Craig saying great things.
Somebody suspects foul play and goes through this high chair dance of hiring me, of staying anonymous. It makes no damn sense. Compels me, though.
I love the way he says compels me, though.
Compels me, though.
Just like that a lot. Here's Christopher Plummer just being great.
If you're going to put that vile shit in me, you'll have to earn it on my birthday, 85th birthday.
I just love that. I love that so much. He's just, I don't know. It's just, he's like he's acting without doing anything. I mean, he's been around so long, right? He's done it. I love that. Oh, he's also, I have to say, he's our big Star Trek connection of the movie, by the way.
There's lots of connections in this movie.
Well, yeah. There's they're major franchises. I mean, definitely. Yeah. Gosh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and not only your obvious Chris Evans in Marvel. There's a second Marvel connection that's not obvious, and that's that Meg girl. She's in a deleted scene as grown-up version of Tony Stark's daughter. I read it in trivia. That's the only reason why I knew that. But then you got DC, right, with Zod.
General Zod. Yeah.
General Zod, that guy. What else we got? And what other big Don Johnson, well, he's of Miami Vice. I guess that's a thing. Frank Oz, well, he's, he invented puppetry, basically. So, anyway. Yeah, and of course, Daniel Craig, of course, too. And, you got your Bond franchises. So, I mean, like I said, a lot of star power. I just like hearing Christopher Plummer saying,
if you're going to put that vile shit in.
I just love that. Here's more Daniel Craig.
I anticipate the terminus of gravity's rainbow.
I just love that.
Oh, I appreciate the terminus of the gravity of a rainbow.
Yeah. Play it again. You can hear it.
I anticipate the terminus of gravity's rainbow.
I anticipate the terminus of gravity.
Who thinks of that? Right?
Yeah.
Who thinks of a line like that? I love it. Oh, right.
Yeah, it's great. Here's Michael Shannon being kind of funny.
Oh, that's where you were all night.
What the hell were you doing in the bathroom all night?
Nothing.
Swatting Syrian refugees.
No, I was not.
Alt-right troll.
There was nothing.
I don't know what any of that means.
See,
that's
again,
perfect.
It's just a deadpan line, and it's great. No slapstick. It's funny. Now again,
And what's funny about that is that's something I could hear my uncle saying
Right?
at a family gathering. You know, like I have no idea what any of that means.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Oh.
they harped on that kid pretty hard for being basically being a MAGA hat wearing kid. And then there's another scene in the movie where they're basically ripping on the president. And I know there were people that made them mad in the movie.
Well,
They're like, "Oh, I went to a movie to be entertained, not to hear them talk about the president." Like, well, okay, whatever. Okay, here we go. I just love the fact that they got Jamie Lee Curtis to say this.
What were you doing? Were you pointing my father? You doing? Were you pointing my father?
That's right. Oh man, that's great.
I will say, Kimberly and I laughed every time the old lady was on the screen.
Oh yeah, she was great.
Is that you?
There's
Ransom.
Did I get that trivia? No. So that woman is 7 years younger than Christopher Plummer.
Holy crap!
Wow.
She's younger than him, but she just was able to play the old lady, put enough makeup on her and a bunch of heavy clothes. That's great.
Is that you, Ransom?
Oh my gosh. And again, the family sucks. The only person that was nice to her is Daniel Craig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know. I guess General Zod did try to offer her some food, but
they all but ignored her though.
But they basically ignored her, and even in that moment, he's kind of talking at her. He's not talking to her. You know, he's just like, "You want some food, Granny," or whatever he says. Like, I don't know. It's just, oh, come on, computer, don't do it.
You're working it too hard. Mark.
Up there it goes. Yeah, it crashed. Nothing else is running at all. Totally crashed. Gosh dang it.
Do you still have the recording?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Whew.
Yeah. So like I have activity monitor, so it's like monitoring the like what my CPU's doing. So everything is running at about 3%, and all of a sudden there was a spike to 89%. Like it says the user at 89%. Now it's dropped back to 20. It's going.
What do you do?
Do anything.
Was it me?
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. All right. Here's the last clip, and of course, if you say the name of your movie, I am going to record it.
You have all treated her like shit to steal back a fortune that you lost and she deserves. You're a pack of vultures at the feast. Knives out, beaks bloody.
That's right. Gosh, I can hear him talk. Now, you guys know that there's wind in the studio, and also that if you give me on camera or on if you say a really good shit, I'm gonna record it. And this was now they said that word a lot in this movie. There at one point they actually recorded a version where instead of Chris Evans saying eat shit, he actually drops the F bomb, F you. But they did another take in case they wanted to make it PG-13, which he of course did. But this is at the end when he couldn't tell the difference between a prop and a real one. So here's this. Shit. I just love that. It's just nice. It's just a shit. There you go. So I can just add that to the pile of shit. And many others.
I will say I totally gasped when he did that too, and I was not expecting the fake knife. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna kill this poor girl. Yeah, but then it was amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I didn't expect her to die, but I was not I remembered the prop knife bit.
Yeah,
but I still didn't expect the thing to happen.
Oh, yeah. I totally saw it coming. But it was still fun. I knew that it was going to be a prop knife. Just yeah, I remember that conversation they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the shit?
There you go. I got that one. I mean, I got a bunch of them. It's great.
You know, most people like to stick with something, but you're like fly shit on the window.
All right. There you go. Whatever that means. Yeah.
There's an old expression that is served.
Oh, geez. Okay. Didn't mean for that. All right. What do I do now? Oh, I play this clip.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
I got to make sure I put my new Chris Evans version of that down here with the rest of these. Okay, cool.
Shit.
All right. If you were listening to this show with your young ones, I apologize. We dropped that word a lot. Trivia. Despite I already said that. Oh, she's 6 years younger than Christopher Plummer. Not
6 years. Okay.
It was Don Johnson's idea for his character to hand his empty plate to Marta as if she was the maid during the immigration conversation. I mentioned this earlier. Although it's clear that Marta is a South American immigrant, the Thrombleys' basic indifference towards her is evident in the fact that throughout the movie, family members refer to her as being from Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Brazil. Her actual native country is never confirmed. Noah.
And what was funny to me is she never corrected them.
Yeah. She just whatever.
She's such a good person that she just let it go.
Right, because why correct them? Like, what good does it do? Because they won't remember. Noah Segan, who plays that other cop, the white cop, recalls the scene where his character grabs Chris Evans' upper arms, quote, "and I could not find purchase. His arm muscle was that much larger than my hand." Because again, he's still
Captain America.
He's still in Captain America. That's why they had to put him in a bunch of baggy clothes so he doesn't look bigger than everyone else, because he is. The message Harlan leaves for Linda, Jamie Lee Curtis's character, in the envelope written with the invisible ink, which Richard merely saw as a blank sheet of paper when he found it. "My heart, it's time to cut the dead wood. He's cheating on you. I have proof. I know you don't need to see. Untether yourself. It's time, Dad."
Wow.
Yeah. And this is great. So I saw this in the trivia about 17 times. This movie has a lot of trivia. But there's a lot of references to the fact that the portrait of Harlan that they keep looking at isn't physically there. It wasn't finished by the time they made the movie. So it was just a green screen portrait. So because it's green screen, that allows them to do some stuff to it. So at the last glimpse of Harlan's portrait, at about 2 hours and 4 minutes, it is tweaked a little, leaving everything feeling okay because the character is now smiling.
Yeah.
The portrait's actually got a little smile on it, and I think that's pretty great.
I'm glad that they didn't mess with it too much. Like, we see the portrait many times in the film.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I don't know what movie it is or what show it was, but I've seen something like that where the portrait changes. Like every time you look at it, it's a different facial expression or whatever. And I'm glad they didn't do that because I think it would have made it a little too cartoony. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But this one little tweak I didn't mind, even though it kind of takes it out of the realm of possibilities. But it's still, I don't know. It was a fun little nod to the audience.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so subtle too. Like, I mean, when you see it in that last shot, you're almost going, "Is he smiling now?" Or am I just perceiving that because it's a happy ending kind of a thing?
Honestly, the first time I watched it, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But the second time, I caught on.
Yeah, one of the other really cool pieces of trivia was like, the movie starts with when Marta shows up. There's a bunch of people like out on the balcony talking, and she looks up to them, or she looks like they are above her, and then at the end of the movie she's up there and they're all on the ground, so it's kind of to symbolize that their roles have reversed, kind of a thing. Like the movie does that kind of a thing a lot in this movie of, I think it's great. The only loose end in the movie that didn't get tied up, which I wish it would have, is the fact that like everyone's dirty secret got told except Meg's mom, Toni Collette. She's never outed for stealing those tuition checks to her.
Tuition checks, yeah.
Yeah, because Meg, like when she confesses to Marta that her mom is broke, right? Like she's hugging her and she's like, "Mom is broke." I kind of was expecting Marta to go, "Actually, I've seen those checks that they go to her."
Mm-hmm.
You know, like or something like that. I was expecting for some way for Meg to find out that her mom had basically been
stealing from her.
Kind of stealing from. I mean, she's stealing from her dad, not really from her. But Meg thinks that her tuition checks are coming from mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just in an otherwise really, really fine thing. Okay, they got away with it or whatever. So whatever, it's fine.
I do think that one thing that's satisfying about this whole film is that everyone gets what's coming to them, in a sense.
Oh yeah.
You know, the biggest dick of the film goes to jail, rightly so. The only one that doesn't really get what they deserve is Fran. Poor Fran, got murdered in the rundown laundromat, and
yeah.
But the rest of them, it's kind of a happily ever after type situation for all involved. Not happily ever after, but get what they deserve, rather.
Get what they deserve.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we're looking for in our worlds nowadays, is to see people actually face repercussions for what they do.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of craving that feeling right now.
Yep.
It's just funny. So I've talked about this not on the podcast, but maybe I have. I get in moods pretty regularly, much to my wife's annoyance, that I will rewatch TV shows. I like to rewatch shows and movies, especially movies. I mean, the office I'm sitting in, half the furniture in here I had to build myself. So I popped on Disney Plus and basically over the last month, as I'm building furniture, rewatched Phase 3 of Marvel, of the MCU. Because I could. Yeah. And because I've seen each of those movies like 4 times, so it's just kind of nice to have in the background. So I'm in my 4th or 5th watching of the TV show Leverage. And that show does what this movie does at the end and what we were just talking about is that we kind of have a feeling right now in 2020 where we're kind of mad at a lot of people right now. And it's nice to see some kind of terrible people get what they deserve.
Exactly.
And Leverage was written, I mean, during and just post 2008 and 2009 when the world broke. And that's a plot line, an overarching plot line throughout the 5 seasons of, here are some bad people that preyed on other people during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the show is going to make those bad guys pay.
Yeah.
So we're not only going to give you your money back. We're going to make sure they can't hurt other people. And the show does that a lot. And that's what basically the whole show is about. Now, of course, some people might get into it like, well, this show is all about wealth redistribution and hurting hardworking people. I don't care about all that. What I see is what the show is giving me. Here's a bad dude that hurt some people.
Yep.
And
here's his comeuppance.
And so maybe it's just a coincidence that I'm watching that is while I'm watching this, and it just feels good, like a warm blanket. A warm blanket.
I need to, that's something I started watching Psych, but now what is it? Do you call it? It's Leverage, right?
Yeah, Leverage. Yeah,
that's a great show.
Check that out. I should check out Leverage. I never watched that one.
I watched it when it was on, syndication.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on TV back when I was probably 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was on from like 08 to 12 or something like that, 07 to 12, something like that.
Yeah, it's a great show.
It's kind of like Psych in the fact that there's no real consequences. Like you kind of know everyone's gonna be okay at the end of the episode, like
yeah.
And it's got some silly parts, and then there's some really tender parts too, and there's some those kind of good emotional ones. It's free right now, so it's on. If you go to Amazon, you have Amazon Prime, you can search for it. Now it's technically being hosted by IMDb TV, so you have to watch commercials. It's like a 30-second commercial break, 3 or 4 times during the episode, but it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Sam, if you watch the pilot, if you're not in after the pilot, then you won't be. But I would bet that you watch the pilot, then you're gonna be like, I'll give it a second episode, then you're gonna be in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And the funny part is, I've mentioned it when we did the show, and Corny mentioned it too. You remember the movie The Rock? I'm not The Rock. The Rundown with The Rock is what I meant to say. The Rundown. Dwayne Johnson's character is basically the origin story for one of the characters in Leverage. Huh. He's the body guy. He's the hitter that likes to cook, that doesn't like guns, that used to work for a really bad guy but was able to get away. Like it's like his origin story. It's great. So anyway. Enough about that. Time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Because it's like I've watched in the last 3 years. I've watched West Wing 3 times, Leverage now at least twice in that span, maybe a third time. Parts of Psych again, and some Star Trek. That's kind of it. Just like to rewatch shows sometimes. I mean, I've watched new stuff, but I like to rewatch.
Yeah. Every now and then I go back to like West Wing is one of my it's like a warm blanket when the political world is so crazy.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I've introduced that show to many people and said, I don't care what you think politically. You just look at the show. And yes, in the show they're all Democrats, but you look at the show, and even the Republicans that are in that show are not horrible people. Like they just have a different way of looking at things, which is fine. And in the show, they show you how people can get things done together.
Work together. Yeah.
Work together. It's like there's this really kind of, I know it's a little Pollyanna to think about, but anyway. So
I agree. Totally agree.
Okay.
And in reality, politics are more like House of Cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided top 3. We'd have to do Who Done It. Now, we're gonna see how this goes because I think we've all seen basically the 3 same Who Done It movies, and of course, Who Done It. I mean, the way I kind of defined it was like group of people. There's a murder. Cop comes in to investigate, and it's a small kind of pool of suspects who are all there. It's not just a generic, because there are lots of great just murder mysteries. But this one's, in this style. So we'll just kind of see, and if basically we figure out that we've all watched basically the same 3 movies, then we'll throw in some other just kind of good murder mysteries that we like.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tried to think of movies that maybe we hadn't seen together, or maybe all of us hadn't thought of together, but I kept coming back to those same 3, and I don't know if I just want to throw them out there or throw out the other list I have, because I have another list that I frankly like better. But as far as whodunit films, I think we all could agree that Who Framed Roger Rabbit is up there. And then, sorry, I've already forgotten what my other one was. Or my other 2 were, because I didn't write these down because I thought, well, we'll probably all say them. Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I honestly don't remember the other, but my other list, I'm gonna just go ahead and throw those out there. I have an honorable mention, which is not a movie, but it's a series, a little short series on Hulu 11/22/63 with James Franco. It's about JFK, the murder of JFK.
Oh, the book is amazing. The Stephen King book is amazing.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen it, take some time and watch it. If you have Hulu, it's definitely worth the watch.
Yeah.
And I'll have to read the book. I didn't realize that was Stephen King book.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
But my other three, I have the Da Vinci Code as one.
Okay.
As kind of just a murder mystery type thing. The Fugitive.
Oh, I got that one. Okay.
And then number one, and this movie is really not that great of a movie, but I'm saying it's number one for me because it is. It has some of my favorite qualities of a movie from my childhood, and that is Dick Tracy.
Oh, nice.
It's one of the first movies I ever saw in the theater. I remember going to watch it, and my mom got us tickets, and somehow, I don't know how she got them, but she got the yellow hats. And we had these plastic yellow hats with the black the black ribbon around the hat. And so the experience of watching Dick Tracy, and I was not old enough to watch Dick Tracy at that time. I promise you, I was way too young to watch it. But I remember thinking even then how this average, ordinary guy is kind of superhero status in the sense of being top cop, so to speak, and tracking down this murderer. But again, not a great movie. But I like it. So I named a bunch. I hope I didn't name all of the ones that you were going after.
Well, mine, the only one I can add to that list would be 7. I enjoyed 7, which really isn't a whodunit when I come to think of it. I didn't have a whole lot of movies like Knives Out to put on this list, and I don't know why. You would think there'd be more movies like this, but there, as far as I could tell, there's not.
Yeah, there really isn't, and I think it just might be because they might be hard to make, or they're just hard to get right. You know,
they're all old too. If you haven't noticed,
they are really old. Oh, that's a good one. I didn't think about that one. Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, they're hard. So like we're all having to like reach for some other things, you know. So.
Well, I think that my other one that I didn't say was Clue, which we had already talked about, and
yeah,
I figured that would be on your list as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's on mine because I feel like it kind of has to be, right? Because I feel like until this movie came along, that was your standard for the real whodunit kind of movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's a murder. Here's the group of suspects, and it could be any of them. And then the movie even goes so far as to give you 3 different options as to who did it. Did you say all of yours, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I only added 7 to his list. Mine 2 was Fugitive. Oh no, The Fugitive.
Which
I added The Fugitive. Yeah, and Usual Suspects. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the only other one that's in my list, my true list of whodunit, which neither one of you mentioned, was The Murder on the Orient Express.
I haven't seen it yet, though.
I haven't either. Either the new one or the old one.
Yeah, I had not seen the old one. I did watch the new one, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't see the old one, and I didn't read the book. And I know that some people don't like it because Kenneth Branagh, who we mentioned earlier with the Southern accent, he is the star, he's the detective and the director of the movie, and a lot of people feel like it's just an homage to himself.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Because, and again, I've not read the book, right? So I don't know what the tone of the book is.
Yeah.
But it, from what I can got from people's comments, was that the book isn't about the detective. It's about the other people. But the movie makes it about him. You know, he's trying to turn it into like a Sherlock Holmes where it's all about him. So I don't know. Again, I enjoyed the movie. I like Kenneth Branagh as both an actor and a director. Anyway, he's good. I think he's good. So there's the Murder of the Orient Express, the only other one that's in that true whodunit thing, and he's making another one. He's making another Agatha Christie movie. Kenneth, I can't spell his name. Kenneth Branagh. I think I spelled it wrong. I did. Doesn't matter. Murder on. If I type Murder on the Orient Express, Murder on, the Nile or something, Murder of the Nile or something like. It's another Agatha Christie book that got turned into a movie, and he's doing that one also, and it's the same detective is the thing, right? It's called Death on the Nile, and he will be playing Hercule Poirot.
Hercules.
Yeah. While vacationing on the Nile, Hercule Poirot must investigate the murder of a young heiress. Stars Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer and some other people. So Annette Bening and Russell Brand. Russell Brand? Okay. I didn't know he was still a thing. Anyway, my point is that there you go. The other movies that I put on the list of just other good kind of fun whodunits, I was just scrolling through. I like the Jack Reacher movie. That's in my opinion, it's just kind of a good murder mystery kind of a thing. Again, I like Jack Reacher, and doesn't happen very often, but I can actually include Star Trek in this. Star Trek 6 is a murder mystery, in its raw form, and I'm going to use a Star Trek movie whenever I can.
Sort of like Jurassic Park being the murder mystery.
Yeah, I was trying to think, like, how could Sam weasel his way into that one? I don't really think that any of those.
No.
Yeah. Oh no, the Velociraptor died. Who did it? Well, it was either the T-Rex or the Brontosaurus or the fish. Okay, guess we know who did it.
Yeah.
So. Well, I really hope that the second or the sequel is going to be as good as this first one, because, like I said, I could not have been happier than about this movie than I am, because it was so, it gave you everything you wanted.
Yeah. Well, and I can hear Star Wars fans screaming in unison right now saying, why couldn't The Last Jedi have been this good? and my response simply is that I thought The Last Jedi was actually a pretty good movie, so I liked that one, honestly. So, of course, now there's rumors, back in the Star Wars realm, that George Lucas is so unhappy with how the entire sequel trilogy has come out that he wants to basically redo them all. Basically, he wants to make his own trilogy, and basically say that those three movies don't count. So,
come on.
I don't know if that's real or not, or if that's just things people say on Twitter and TikTok and other places. So. Whatever. Anyway, time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
We're going to give this movie a score. We are going to put our feelings into numbers and number this movie. By the way, Sam, just so you have a reference, Velocipaster averaged a 3.2, and Twister we got a 7.73.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So. Velocipaster just barely beat Escape from LA.
And that's a recent one too. So wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's why I
dear.
saw it. It's along the same lines as Iron Sky 2. What would you rather watch, Andrew? Velocipaster or Iron Sky 2?
Ooh. That's tough. I mean,
it is tough.
Velocipaster is shorter.
It is a lot shorter. It's only like 90 minutes or 80 minutes. It's not a long movie.
No, it's pretty short.
Like, like those, and honestly, those are bad. You can't compare the two to each other. If you listen to the show, you'll know that like Velocipaster isn't taking itself seriously because it can't. It can't afford to.
What did we compare it to? Was it Kung Fury?
A little bit like Kung Fury, but Kung Fury is making fun of like all 80s genres, whereas this movie is just like making fun of itself. You know, it's just it's very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
I mean, like Sam, like legit, like you see the boom in the shot, and it's obvious. It's not like it was an oops, because we've seen movies where it was an oops. Like,
yeah,
you all but see the guy's arm. It's so in the shot. You know what I'm saying? Like there's, and you see a couple times you'll see like reflectors, light reflectors, in the shot, and yeah, and then yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of that kind of a thing happening. You know, like it's just really weird. So anyway, and the workout scene was just ridiculous. So anyway, Andrew, this movie, Knives Out, your score, go.
I don't give very many movies above a 9. Matter of fact, there might be 2 or 3 that I've ever given a 9 to on the show. But this one has to be up there. So I'm going to say 9.2 out of 10.
I'm looking back at your scores here, and I'll let you know I've seen 2 so far. And you could probably guess what they were. They were big budget blockbuster kind of things.
Yeah.
Probably both Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Endgame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then your third one I've seen was Wonder Woman. Yeah.
I don't know why I gave that one such a high score.
That's it. Those are your 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact that you're giving a not comic book movie 9.2, you say?
Yeah.
I think that's saying something, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam? You gonna break the 9?
I'm going to be right there on the mark, 9.0. Great movie. It is a little bit slow at some parts, but it's still not bad in terms of, that's just being very, very, very nitpicky. Loved it. Absolutely love this movie.
Yeah, I'm looking back through your scores there, Sam. You've given 2 scores above a 9 so far that I've seen.
Yep. I'm guessing one is probably Jurassic Park.
I don't know. Let me see. Honestly, we might have done that one so soon that I don't have the scores for that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't even remember when we did Jurassic Park.
It was a different time.
Yeah, the one that I saw was for Good Will Hunting and then in Infinity War.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Where the heck is Jurassic Park? I can't find it. Oh, there it is, Jurassic Park. Yeah, you gave Jurassic Park.
Probably gave it a 10. Right?
Gave it a 10. Yeah, you gave it a straight up 10. So.
Yep.
Cool. I'm sorry, you giving this just a good old 9?
Yep, good old 9. Right
Cool.
on the 9.
Sure.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, this movie's so good. I'm not arguing with you. You say that you call them slow parts. I just call them the parts where we need our brains just to kind of collect
catch up.
Because you have to pay attention. I mean, it's not like this is like
you can't do the chores and watch a movie like this.
No, I mean, it isn't like
thank God I didn't watch this trying to grade anything because nothing would have gotten done.
Yeah, no, this is it's such a well-made movie. It's such a well-done movie. We've basically spent the last hour basically talking about how much we like this movie and how good it is. I can find very, very few flaws in it at all. So I'm going to give it a 9 point. Let's see what the math does if I also give it a 9.2. Yeah, that math works good. So I'm going to give it a 9.2. I'm a big fan. I'm looking forward to having time to watch it again, honestly.
Yep.
Because
watching some of the YouTube, if you notice when Daniel Craig is introduced to Marta, he immediately sees her shoe. he's looking down, and you could tell that he sees her shoe and knows from the very beginning what's going on with her, at least.
That's cool.
And there's little aspects of this movie, watching it a second time, that you catch like that are worth watching it again.
Yep.
All right, man. That's great. I don't know why I said man, but yeah. Let's so I'm gonna do this now. That's the show. That's it.
Bye.
Good night.
See ya. Good night.
I guess I'll play a little outro music here. Next week we're gonna do Red Tails. It's on Disney Plus, I think.
How pertinent that might be the Washington Redskins' new name.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I guess. Red Tails 2012, starring Cuba Gooding and a bunch of stuff. It is a why did I think that this was a George Lucas film?
Is it not? I thought it was.
I thought it was Anthony Hemingway. Maybe George Lucas wrote it. I know George Lucas is involved. George Lucas is the executive producer. Oh. Okay, so maybe I just saw produced by George Lucas from the producer George Lucas. All right, well, fine. Anyway, Red Tails, it's about the Tuskegee Airmen, and you can do that every time?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Tuskegee Airmen story, and I just, as soon as I saw it was streaming, I thought, hey, I wanted to do it. So we are going to do it. And I don't
Which movie are we doing, Sean?
Doing Red Tail. Okay, there's no way around it. Anyway, facebook.com/cheapseatreviews is our Facebook page. cheapseatreviews@gmail.com is how you can email us, and cheapseatreviews.com is where you can find old episodes and stuff like that. So on behalf of Andrew and Sam, which I'm so glad you're back, this is Sean. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Every day they're out there making red tails. Woohoo!